This is always ready, Matt Cardona, the internet champion, the $1,000 broski, the Michael Jordan of wrestling figure collecting. And listen, I'm way too fucking busy being the deathmatch king to be a guest on Wrestling Cheers. So the least I can do is open up the show. So welcome to Wrestling Cheers, you fucking mark.
Taking your way in the world today takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to go where you can see that troubles are all the same. You want to go where everybody knows your name.
And welcome back to Wrestling Cheers, where everybody knows your name, especially when you're the GOAT. This is Wrestling Cheers, where we like to talk about things going on in the Northeast Ohio independent wrestling scene. We preview shows, we review shows, and sometimes we even have interviews along the way. This is a review for AIW's Hell on Earth 16. I'm your host, Justin Summers, and Wrestling Cheers is brought to you by the Trending Topics Network and Midwest Territory. Please rate, review, and subscribe your ever listen to this fine podcast, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon Music, or Podbean, WrestlingCheers.podbean.com. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, Facebook.com/WrestlingCheers, Twitter.com/WrestlingCheers, Instagram.com/WrestlingCheers. Email, if you so choose to desire, WrestlingCheers@gmail.com. And we have the merch store over at whatamaneuver.net. Like I said, this is a review of AIW's Hell on Earth 16. And this week, we got Charly Butters back.
Yeah, it's me. I'm here again.
It's almost like I couldn't get anybody else for the show.
Well, you know, I'm old Mr. Reliable over here. So
the MVP of 2020 and 2021 for Wrestling Cheers.
Somebody's got to hold the record for lowest downloaded episodes. Come on, man. It's got to be me. I got this.
Oh, no one's going to actually beat the current record. Because I haven't talked about this. Okay. The lowest download record is probably going to be held by Sid Von England, and it's not his fault.
Oh, poor Sid.
The problem was when I uploaded the file, I had the wrong episode number. Basically, I label mine. It's literally Wrestling Cheers and then the episode number. And I think I put it like 10 higher than it was, and I knew what would end up happening is when I actually get to that episode, that old file, Sid's episode, would be replaced. I didn't notice it till like a day or two later. So I went in and I can't go in and just change the name, unfortunately, because that would have made everything a little bit easier. I had to re-export it and re-upload it with the correct episode number. And when you do that on Podbean, if the episode, if the file name is different, so in this case it will clear all the stats from the episode. So every download he had within like the first 2 days have been eliminated from the stats. I forget how many downloads he had when I last looked. I think it might have been like 30. So Sid's gonna have the lowest number. Like I don't remember what it was when I changed the files. I wish I would have kept a mental note so I knew, like, okay, this is actually how many people who listen to it. But according to the stats, like, it's going to be probably the lowest for a while. So that sucks, Sid. I'm sorry. So yeah, don't worry about it. You're not going to be the lowest downloaded episode.
Challenge accepted.
Come on, man. This is an IWTV guide.
You know.
But yeah,
secondary podcast now.
Unfortunately, yeah, putting a little peek behind the curtain, it was very hard to get anybody for this episode. Well, not that they didn't want to talk, it's just schedules fucking sucked. And Charly took a nap to be here today.
That's correct. I did.
I skipped eating dinner, so we have to finish this, and then I got to edit it, because if you're hearing this on Thursday, this is recorded Wednesday night, and right now, as I'm speaking, it's 11:01 p.m. So yes. I understand, like, there'll be a quick turnaround. Like, I understand too. Maybe you're looking at your podcast feed and it says like, oh no, it was uploaded at 12 o'clock at night. a little peek behind the curtain, I can change that time. So even if I upload it at 3 a.m., it's going to tell you midnight. And it's just how crazy I am. Like every episode drops at midnight, even if I don't upload it until, 1 or 2 a.m. It's all about consistency and it being uniform. Because I'm the psychopath that will look at times podcasts were uploaded. And a lot of times they're at very weird times. And what I mean by weird is just like, it's like 56 minutes, 16 minutes. It's like, oh, yeah, that's exactly when you posted it. Got it.
I mean, I don't know. I used to post in the evenings on Monday or Tuesday, so.
I mean, it's definitely to each their own. I just have my own little habits, niches, things that I've learned, things that like even just like being a podcast listener that I liked. Like when I knew like episodes would be posted at certain time, certain day. That's why I think all podcasts should be posted at midnight. Because when you get the ones in the middle of the day, it's like, I don't know, it can be just annoying. Just for me being like this listener of podcast and like wanting to be able to like plan my day. Like I'm like, ooh, it's Tuesday, so I'm going to listen to It's Evolution Baby and AIW podcast and whatever else. I can just plan my day.
Yeah, I just throw it on whenever I see it pop up in the thing. I listen to music until like something comes up and then I'll listen. So I'm going to have a bunch of stuff tomorrow.
Oh, because it's Wrestling Thursday.
Well, no, I'll just have Pod Van Dam and then I'm going to listen to the AIW Patreon episodes that I've been kind of holding off on. So
Patreon episode's good.
Yeah. Yeah. The Patreon is what I'm really looking forward to. So
I already listened to Pod Van Dam.
I'm sure you did.
I will go back and listen to it sometimes depending on my day. If I think it was a really good episode and I'm like out of like something new to listen to, I will throw it back on.
So I think the only reason like your podcast would be number 2 on my Spotify Wrapped if I listen to Pod Van Dam on my Spotify, but since I get it on the Patreon early, that's the only way I listen to it anymore. So like I think that's the only reason why you Wrestling Tears was number 1, but you were number 1 for 2 years in a row now. So I mean, maybe because I guess did I listen to it last year too? Yeah, I think a lot of last year was in the Patreon too. So
you listen to Patreon shows in the Patreon app?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck that. Can you not put what is the right word? I even know
the RSS feed.
Yeah, RSS feed. I kept wanting to say URL. But
I can't do it I don't know how to do it on Spotify. Literally, it's in the Patreon app and I can tap a button that downloads it for me and then I can just listen to it. I don't have to worry about it.
I mean, I know how it works because that's how I used to listen to the Major Wrestling Figure podcast when I got Patreon. But then I learned that you could take the RSS feed, put it in the podcast app, and it makes it easier to like go between shows. Like if, say, I'm listening to the Major Wrestling Figure podcast and listen to something on the Patreon feed, and then I want to listen to Pod Van Dam because I don't have the Patreon feed. Even if I did, I edited it, so I've already heard it. But just say I'm going straight to that, and then I wanted the Game Marks Patreon feed. Like make it so I can just go instantly between them. It'll just because I'll set up like I'll play a podcast and then I'll say like, all right, play this one next, play this one last, and then it just will go in a row for me. Because if Apple Podcasts did the same thing, I'm fairly certain the Major Wrestling Figure podcast Patreon feed would be my most listened to, but it's also because like some of those episodes are like 2 or 3 hours long. So I definitely had like more time listening to that show than most. And I don't normally listen back to Wrestling Cheers on podcast app. It's rare that I do it anymore. I used to do it every week.
Yeah, I could tell how many times I was on the show because I don't listen when I'm on the show usually. So when it said I like listened to like 46 episodes, I was like, okay, so that's how many episodes I probably was on, at least like 8 of them. So then probably with a few I might have listened to just for fun. So like, yeah.
Oh, they're not doing it just by time. They're doing it by episodes. Yeah, I'd probably still be the Patreon stuff because I listen to the weekly show and then randomly there's other stuff that they put up. Some stuff I will listen to, other stuff I won't, but there's just enough on that feed that I listen to like more than one show a week.
Yeah, I'm not 100%. I know like they do by like episode, but I think they also like tell you like how much time you spent listening to it as well. But like I think it's based on how many episodes you've listened to for their 1 through 5 or 1 through 10 ranking that they have like that you can look through. So, I mean, everything that was on there was like, I think my number 5 was Super Fantastic. I think that's only because he just doesn't put out a ton of episodes. So, but I've listened to every single episode.
Yeah.
Some of them multiple times. So
I think the Apple Music version of it is interesting. Like they don't do exactly all the analytics, but I will get the playlist of my top 100, and then it'll give you how many times you listen to it. And I was actually surprised with mine. If I could give people a bunch of guesses and they would never guess the artist or song of my number 1 song listened to this year.
Yeah, I probably couldn't, honestly.
Thing is with you know the song. A lot of people know the song, but it's a cover. It's a cover that I found when I was really into the original, but I wanted to find one that just kind of had a more, I want to say, epic feel. That song would be Perfect Strangers.
And we're going to play that now.
No, we're not. And it's by a band called Jorn, Jorn. And my number 1 artist was Kiss. I don't remember, what was my number 1 album? Oh, Billie Eilish, Happier Than Ever. So yeah, that's the Spotify Apple Music talk of Wrestling Cheers this week.
Yeah, let's done.
Okay, Ed. That's how it goes.
Yes.
All right, get into the show. That is Hell on Earth. You didn't do any meet and greets or buy any merch, did you?
I bought some merch from Derek Dillinger and Ziggy. That was it. And
what did you buy?
I bought this awesome Derek Dillinger, The Art of Violence, the VHS tape, and I bought an AIW trading card of Derek Dillinger.
And I thought it was such a good idea, I bought the same thing.
Yes.
I originally just wanted to buy the VHS, and he was like, I'll throw you the card in for the same price. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's what he did for me. So I was like, hell yeah. They're my go-to for like merch currently. That's who I want to support every show that I can. So they're my main reason for going to shows currently. They're that storyline, them is who I'm invested in currently. So I did get to talk to Levi for a bit. Like I always love talking to Levi. So we always have a good conversation. And yeah,
I still need to do the idea that I dress up like Levi or dress Amish for one of his bookings. The only thing I need is a hat.
Yeah.
But I can't get, I've looked up how much his cost or ones like his. They are not cheap.
Right.
I'd have to go with a straw hat. Those you can get fairly cheap.
Right.
But
check out like a secondhand store. You might be able to find one like you like at a secondhand store. You never know.
Yeah, I have to go. I haven't gone Goodwill shopping in a little while.
I'll put Jobber on it, see if he can find you one. He always goes. So
I need to go look for VHS tapes, but that's a different story.
Right.
Side note, I don't think I've talked about this. I've never watched it, and I bought the VHS like a while ago, and that's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles coming out of their shell tour. I remember the VHS as a kid, not watching it, but like seeing it at the store and obviously going like, ooh, I want it, but I never got it. So when I started buying VHS tapes, that was like high on my list. Well, at some point in the summer, I bought one off Instagram, like one of the VHS retailers you can find that Jesse turned me on to.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't ended up throwing it in until like a month or so ago because I just had like the perfect amount of time to watch it and Amanda wasn't home. Fucking the entire tape was recorded over by like a movie. I don't remember exactly. I looked it up, but I don't remember what it is now, but it was definitely like late 90s, early 2000s HBO because it's like you do catch the end of the movie and then like you see like the HBO graphics and everything and blah, 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 blah. And I looked up like when that movie came out, figuring like roughly when it would be on there and judging by the graphics, like it was definitely like fairly new. I was so pissed. Like all I wanted to do was like, I sit down, I came home from work. I was eat my dinner and like watch this movie, finally watch it. You know, it's fucking recorded over. I just had to buy one on eBay this weekend.
Oh, that's such a bummer. Damn.
I bring it up because number one, we talked about VHS tapes. Number two, I need to watch it before Christmas because I have the live action Turtles Christmas special VHS that I need to watch. I want to watch it for Christmas.
Oh, I thought you were going to say because you're going to talk about it with Jesse on your Christmas episode.
Potentially. Him and I still have to book that. We've kind of talked about it, but VHS will be a big thing with him this year. Even bigger than it was before because now I've bought a bunch. But I need to go to Goodwill's because I haven't been to many to check out the VHS selection. So if you've listened to the show already, besides like everything we've talked about, but like early, I got a soundbite from Matt Cardona because I got another picture with Matt Cardona. I also bought a internet champion keychain. Then during intermission, I was bullied by members only, in particular Calvin G. Lewis, to buy a members only shirt because he gave me shit for buying the VHS tape from Derek. He's like, oh, I saw you buying their stuff. Why don't you buy our stuff? And then he was like, oh, you said you don't like white shirts. So we got black shirts. You need to buy them. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, you got 3X and sometimes that you're like, oh no, we ain't got any 3X. He's like, yeah, I think we do. And I'm like, fuck. Gave him my PayPal and I bought a members only shirt because I felt like I've given enough reasons why I wouldn't, just because I don't like white shirts and obviously you gotta have my size. And they did have both. It's like, fine, I'll buy it.
Yeah, I checked out the new Kaplan shirt. It looked really cool. I'm gonna eventually have to get one of those. And then I put myself on the subscription plan for Derek Dillinger shirts and Ziggy shirts in the future so that they order one of my size specifically for me so that I can start purchasing shirts. Not that I don't have like 8 million as it is, but you know.
Subscription plan?
Yeah.
Is this a thing?
No.
Okay.
It's just he's going to order one in my size for me so that I have one of my size. And I told him, I was like, you order one of my size, I'll buy it every single time. So
yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, that was basically what we did with Danhausen too. So like he always made sure he had one of my size for me. And then he actually just started carrying like bigger sizes. So it worked out for everybody. But that was mainly because I would always bug him about making sure he had one of my size. So
yeah, that can be a big hassle when you're a bigger guy. Once you get past like a certain size though, like wrestlers barely ever have that size. And I think right now it's between 3X and 4X. It used to be 2 and 3.
Right.
But now I'm starting to see like more 4Xs available.
Yeah, usually it's like 1 or 2 if you're lucky. I don't know. I really need to just start busting my ass and get down to a 2X or a 3X so I don't ever have to worry about it again. But in time,
yeah,
I'll get there eventually.
So yeah,
so I told him the new Raven inspired design that they're doing, get me one of those. So future purchase.
Yeah, I think that's everything I bought. The Derek VHS, members only, stuff from Cardona, get another picture. I'll probably get another picture with him next time he's here. Only because the picture that I wanted to get is what I talked about last week. I have a Broski of the Week headband that I got from being the Broski of the Week and just doing their contest. They made a shirt, but you had to buy it on Pro Wrestling Tees. Bought it last week, and it was, because I think we recorded on Sunday. It was supposed to be delivered Monday, and it was stolen. I had 2 Matt Cardona shirts. I had that one, and I had ALIW, and then I had a shirt for Amanda, a wrestler that she likes from OCW. And the fact that it was either misdelivered and not delivered directly back to me, or it was stolen. And I had to file a police report, a discrepancy with the post office, what they call a service report. It wasn't a claim. And then I got a hold of Pro Wrestling Tees, and they're supposedly sending me a replacement order. But the sad thing is I got confirmation that they were sending me or they were going to be able to send me one. Like, it hasn't been sent yet, but they're like, yeah, we can send you one, a replacement order basically on Black Friday. So figuring like my order is in with everybody else's. Good fucking luck.
You might have it by the end of the year.
Well, the good thing is we know the next Matt Cardona date isn't anything announced. And I only say we know because we know he's not going to be in December. And I don't think we're bringing Matt Cardona in for the Winchester. So, which we haven't got to talk about that. Or have we? I can't remember. I'm excited for fucking Ether.
I don't think we talked about it on the preview.
Yeah, I'm excited for Ether. Max Caster, guy who ends every Wrestling Cheers episode. Get to meet him in person. I'm definitely getting a picture with him with my Wrestling Cheers stuff on. Wanted to get an interview with him or schedule one, but I'm not holding my breath because he's with a company. And it's not just as simple as like, yeah, I'll do it. It's like, yeah, you got to jump through those hoops. And a lot of times those hoops are very high up. So
yeah, you got to tell Brandy Rhodes how good of a wrestler she is. Nobody wants to do that.
I will tell her that if she, no, hold on, listen. If I can get the interview with Max and if I can get the first Brandy Rhodes figure, the first version of it, because that's the only one I'm missing from AEW Series 1. Other than that, no.
Oh, man.
So that was all the meet and greet stuff. I didn't meet Psycho Clown. Oh, I definitely haven't talked about this. I bought a figure for Jeff Jarrett to sign. Bought it on purpose for for the signing.
That's right, you did. Whatever happened with that?
Fucking left it at home. And I didn't.
Oh, nice.
I didn't realize it till I got off the exit in Eastlake, and I was like, "Fuck, I'm not driving all the way home and all the way back to get this signed. No fucking way." This is where I wish Jeff Jarrett was in Akron because I would have went like, "Oh, I'm gonna go home real quick. I'll be back." Give me like half hour, not half hour. Give me closer to an hour. I'll be back. Now I have to hope I see Jeff Jarrett some other signing. And what sucks is I was in my office where everything is rearranging stuff. And I put it off to the side, but I didn't put it with some other stuff that I took with me. And I felt like a fucking idiot. So yeah, that's why I didn't meet Jeff Jarrett. So anyway, let's get into this card. And we actually had a pre-show match. Weird Body versus Isaiah Broner. I mean, I don't have to tell you the result. We all know the result. Even if you weren't there for it, you know what happened. And I fucking love it.
Yeah, man. That clothesline gif was in a lot of places. It was pretty great. I was still thinking about it like in the middle of this week, how good it was. Good stuff.
I think I called him Weird Body, the Weirdster. But yeah, I bet you the Weirdster has been thinking about that all week too.
Said he felt really alive after that happened to him. So I personally think he went to the Shadow Realm after that, but that's neither here nor there. I also like that that Isaiah was just big enough that the little ball that Weirdster puts himself in just was no match for him. He just picked him up and powerbombed him, which is, the best offense for that kind of move right there, just to pick him up and drop him on his head. So
I really like the addition of Isaiah Broner. I put it on Twitter that, we've only seen him, like now this is his second AIW match, and we haven't even started to scratch the surface. I think this is going to be a dude that one of two things are going to happen. We're going to constantly see him at AIW for the years to come, or we're going to constantly see him to the point of he's just too fucking popular, and it's going to be hard to get him in all the time.
Yeah, I'm going to probably go with the second one there. He's got the build, he's got the look. He's going to take off here. Like I said, 2022 going to be one to watch out for in AIW. I think he's going to be really fun to watch him grow in AIW, and I'm excited to see where it goes, because I think that he's captured the imagination of the booking committee, and I think that they're really interested in seeing what he can do. So I'm right there with him.
I just realized you didn't move until after this match.
Yeah, because I was trying to talk to Pedro before I moved, just to make sure we were cool. I didn't want to upset anybody, and he said that it wasn't a problem. So
yeah, because I'm looking at the pictures that I took of Isaiah coming out, and you're in the frame of all of them.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, Isaiah was a dude that I was actually looking for a merch table for. He didn't have anything out. I don't know if he doesn't have merch. I think he does, but I had asked Jocelyn to go grab them for me because I want to at least get a picture.
I always see him around. Like, it's funny. I've seen him at so many shows. Like, I always just go, "What's up?" Like, we head nod each other and fist bump, and that's it. So, eventually, we need to have a conversation with him. Eventually, we'll get there.
I think he told me he listens, or sometimes he listens.
Well, good.
I don't know what else we could say about this match because it's just fucking Isaiah came in, beat a fucking weird body and left. Like, this pre-show is great.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it was Isaiah pinning the Weirdster for the win. Let's get into the first match. Before we do that, let's hear a word from our sponsors. No, I'm kidding. We also had some celebrities at Hell on Earth. Cleveland celebrities. Well, celebrity-ish. Because we had the Browns like media reporter. I don't know exactly his exact title, but I know he does like stuff at the stadium. He does I think there might be a Browns radio show or podcast that he does, but he's like, with the Browns, Nate Segura. And
I know he does a podcast because my boss listens to it, and he was like excited to hear if he said anything about the show, and I don't think he did. So maybe it'll be on another episode. So,
and we also had reality superstar George Mizanin.
Yeah, everybody loves Mrs. Dad. Come on, he's awesome.
My favorite thing about George, besides like I don't care what anybody says, I love Ms. and Mrs. It's definitely scripted to the shit because they make you think that George lives down there and he doesn't. Right? Actually, no, because they don't live in Texas anymore. They live in California again. But the point is, he is funny on there. It's definitely a character, but whatever. But on the Major Wrestling Figure podcast, they had him do an intro, and they kind of brought up the point of, all right, the last name is Mizanin. Like, we all know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then why is it the Miz? Why isn't it the Mize?
I don't know. You're waxing poetic on something right now that just does not need to be waxed poetic.
Well, I just think about that every time I think of George. I love George. Didn't get a picture with him this time. I got a picture with him when he was at the Odeon. But we started off with Ethan Wright coming out, and we were like, "Fuck, he doesn't have a match. The fuck's this gonna be?" He does let us know that he's not the third man, because we were kind of thinking that was a possibility. He didn't have a match.
This is true. Someone
told him we said that, I'm guessing. I think people put it on Twitter too. So anyway, but he basically said that he was going to, in so many words, he was going to become the Academy Killer again. Because he's been through everybody. He'll go through them again. There's nobody else left. In my mind, there's still another match I want to see. Oh, we'll get there. But all of a sudden, we hear, because I think he went with Run the Jewels. I had to sit there and think. I was like, wait a minute. That wasn't his most recent theme. We were going by like what we know of him for many years. So here, Run the Jewels, and it's like, no. In my head, I was like, okay, that means he's coming out to like bring somebody else out. No, fucking, here comes Dominic Greeny, fucking ready for a match, fucking geared up, mask and everything.
Back from injury, cleared.
100%.
Let's fucking rock and roll. Dom's back, so.
I'm obviously happy this was unannounced. I'm happy that he fooled us all.
It's one of those times that, it's nice to be fooled because it's a great surprise. And then also, like, we love Dom, so we love seeing him back in action, and it was nice. I was very, very happy. This is a great way to start off the show.
I'm very interested in this Ethan Wright Dom feud, because like this is definitely going to go on. There's going to be more, and I think that's going to be the great thing. But any comments on the match before we get to the finish? Because that's a pretty big deal.
That's hard hitting. It was good stuff, man. I enjoyed it.
Fuck, this is where I wish I had Pam and Stacey on, because I want to know, like, is this the best Ethan Wright match you've ever seen?
Oh man,
sure shit wasn't boring.
No, man, everything was good. Everything, like, there's a lot of good stuff in it. There's lots of striking. That's just just them beating the shit out of each other. And I was really like I said, I was super excited Dom was back. So I mean, this match could have been terrible. It wasn't by any stretch of the imagination at all, not even close, but it could have been, and I still would have been very happy. So I'm not maybe the best judge for that. So yeah, you'd have to defer to Stacey or Pamela to see if it was his best match. But I enjoyed it.
But what we ended up
didn't see the end coming at all, so that was a fun surprise.
I was just about to say that because I think we were all expecting Dom to win. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. But what we had was basically Brian Carson comes out, starts distracting the ref, and like he doesn't come out from the entrance, like he came from the crowd.
Yeah, by me, yeah.
And all of a sudden we see like the bell keeper, which actually it's normally Steve, but it's somebody else, come and hit Dom with the bell. Turns out Casey Carrington. So with, the help of Brian Carson, Casey Carrington, Ethan Wright pins Dominic Greeny for the win. Can we talk about Casey Carrington and the UFC title? Baby Casey.
Did you see my comment to him?
I think so. Did you see my comment and then what he wrote back?
Yes.
Which
I think Josh posted a picture too. Oh man.
Well, here's the thing. For those who don't know, like Casey Carrington posted a picture probably from what? Knowing his age, probably like maybe 10 years ago or so.
Something like that, because he had like the UFC belt and like the foam UFC belt.
Yeah. And it's him, holding this belt when he was a little kid. This toy, fine. Not a knock on that. But when I seen the picture, I just thought of that kid that it's like him taking a picture in a mirror and he has, big gold over his shoulder. It's like a bigger kid and he has a shirt off. I wasn't knocking it, but when I saw that picture, that's what I thought of. So then he asked me, was that a picture of me at my wedding reception? And I told him, I was like, no, that my shirtless photos from the wedding reception will cost $100 for that link. So yeah,
that I hope he gets dropped on his head by Dom, and then Dom puts him to sleep. And I also called him a little prick. So
Okay, yeah, I think I remember that one now.
I mean, he's got his little butler out there distracting people.
The funny thing was that I saw that he said that Trombetta was trailer trash to one of his replies. I wanted him to respond that to me, just so I can go, yeah, first 19 years of my life, I grew up in a fucking trailer park. Okay. Tell me something I don't know.
Oh my. Yeah. This new little group here is, in for a world of hurt. So
I'm not comparing them 1-to-1, but I feel like this group formation, whatever they're calling themselves, they remind me of 40 Acres when they first came together, because it was like three people who weren't being used, who are all had the same issue. And I feel like it's kind of the same way with these three, but these are also three guys who are not really fan favorites. All three of these guys in AIW, and Casey Carrington hasn't been around that long, but you just love to hate them. So I think these three together are going to be great.
Sure.
Oh, and I mean great in I'm going to love fucking hating them.
Yeah, I'm going to enjoy rolling my eyes at them constantly. So speaking of Brian Carson, though, I watched the show back today while I was at work. Let me tell you about how terrible his commentary is.
Really? A lot of people love it.
He very much tries to play up the bad guy angle on commentary because of this turn here and all this kind of stuff. And he lays it on so thick. It's just I know why ex WWE writers literally turned off the show halfway through because of how annoying his commentary was. So I don't blame them. It was brutal. I love Wadsworth. Wadsworth is great. Love him. But he was doing his damnedest to be a Jerry Lawler times 10 with his quips and everything and calling the crowd names. And it would just not for me. That's just not my thing. I mean, I'm sure there's people that enjoy that. It doesn't work for me. It just makes me more annoyed that I have to listen to him on commentary. Well, there's other shit going on and he spends time talking about the people in the crowd or whatever. So just that's just my complaint. I mean, whatever. I'm just, some fat guy in the crowd, but still watching it back, I literally would turned off commentary halfway through, just muted it so I could just watch the rest of the show without, because it was annoying. I'm just not a fan of heel commentary, though. I think that's my biggest thing. It detracts from the matches and stuff, in my opinion. I don't know. Whatever.
I mean, I don't mind it. I think if it's done right, it adds to it.
I mean, yeah, it can be, but when it's not consistent, and it was just consistently like nonstop. Just, I don't know. It's hard to explain. I just was not happy with it.
All right, let's move on to the next match. Riley Rose versus Jocelyn Navarro. Much like the pre-show, you kind of know the result you're going to get. Riley Rose put up more of a fight though than the Weird Stir, but
yeah, I mean, this went back and forth. This was good stuff. Riley still owes me a signed 8x10 though. So
who got the match right though?
I could easily pick Jocelyn because I knew she was probably going to win, but I just went a different route and picked Riley because, Riley's, maybe they're going to do something with Riley. You never know. But yeah, you did pick Jocelyn, which doesn't surprise me. So
don't surprise me that I picked her. Doesn't surprise me that she won.
It doesn't surprise me that you picked her. But also, I mean, at the same time, like it could have gone either way in my head. But I mean, the role that Jocelyn's been on, the tear that she's been on, very much made sense for her to keep steamrolling. So
yeah,
they build everything up. I thought that was great that they had like their little Twitter thing going on that kind of added hype to it for just like a one-off type match, and it didn't really affect anything booking wise. It was just enough to like get some heat on the match, and I thought it was great. It did what it was supposed to do. So it was just good stuff. The Macadamy kids, man.
She said she was going to go out and kick his ass, and she went out and kicked his ass.
Mm-hmm.
The idea for a shirt for her that I thought of. Do you know what the New Jack 187 shirt looked like?
I believe so, yeah.
Jocelyn 187. And he had like a metal X on it, like in the logo. You can just do a yellow X for her, or you can put the Jamaican flag.
Yeah, I could see that.
I think I should make it, sell it, and give her some money from it. That can go with the sponsored athlete thing. I never heard back from her on that.
That's a thing. That's like I know, like who was it? The
Smoking Jay and Bitcoin.
No, somebody else. The there's another podcast that's been making wrestler shirts and then like selling them and giving them a cut. Because I think they just did a Dom shirt. I forget their name. It's Monkeys. I forget what they are.
I want to make a Clerks 2 reference, but
something like that. They're like Southern. They kind of promote and like sponsor Action a ton. That's how I know about them. They've done like 4 or 5 shirts this year with different wrestlers and stuff. And I think that's a cool idea. Like if you have a really good idea for a shirt, go in on it. I mean, you front the front part of it and give them half. Fuck, why not? Put your logo on it somewhere though. On the back at like the top on the neck or something. So you get that dual promotion.
Is it Bald Monkeys?
Yeah, that's who it is. I tried listening to their show. They record through like Twitch and they don't do very much editing. So, I have very high standards for my podcast listening. We've discussed this. Like there's a reason why I stopped listening to certain podcasts. So yeah, I listened to like half of an episode and never listened again because it was just hard to listen to. I
thought I'd listen to them, but I don't think I have.
But they do a lot of good stuff for wrestling, so yeah. I mean, props to them. That's really cool. I just can't listen to their show, but I'm glad that they do a lot of stuff, and I've been thinking about that too. Like that, there's stuff I'd like to do to help out talent, and maybe when I'm in a better spot, I'll be able to. I want to do some like different shirt designs and like get some stuff going. So
yeah, I think my issue is like if I made that shirt, I wouldn't put it on What a Maneuver, especially after everything that happened last week. It's not necessarily nothing against them, but they're not necessarily better than the other company, even though we do have the What a Maneuver store.
Yeah, I mean, we both have What a Maneuver stores, and yeah, so that was kind of where my side kind of laid on that, is I have a store with them. I've never had a problem. I don't know.
It's DTG quality. It's what it is, even though this isn't Pod Van Dam. It's Burger King and McDonald's. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's basically the same thing. There's going to be like different things you like and all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, like it's the same garbage. The only reason why we have a What a Maneuver store is because I'll be bluntly honest. I fear if I had shirts made, nobody would buy them, and I'm just sitting on merchandise.
Right.
And the fact that What a Maneuver has that ability, and they're a little bit easier to get into compared to Pro Wrestling Tees. That's why I went with them. And the fact that they can do tank tops, hoodies, long sleeve sweatshirts, t-shirt, whatever it may be. Like they have like a lot of, baby onesies. Like they have that option. And I do like that, the conveniency of it. But I do know a lot of people prefer screen printed. As someone who was in printing, I prefer screen printed. So if I did go that route, going back to the whole Jocelyn thing, I would probably get them printed, and I'd probably get them printed local.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to do something like that, you want to have your on hand so that you can have them right then and there, not have to worry about like them being up on a site. And then you could also hand them off like when you see her or like whoever you're, partnering with on it, so that you can have them at their thing. Yeah, that's a smart move. So,
well, the thing is, I also have another shirt design ready to be made. I just have to get clearance from somebody else to get it made. It's nothing I'm going to talk about right now, but I think I've told you.
I think so. I actually have my friend Austin working on something, so I should actually have that soon. For a new design for IWTV guides. So I don't know when or if or how that'll ever go on anything. I don't know yet. We'll have to see when it's done, what we decide to do. But yeah,
I'll do something. Cause the thing is, when I first got the Fight Caden fight shirts, I bought them from 1 Hour Tees, and I know how much I paid for those. But I feel like if I went local, there's a place that my Kent Brown's backers goes to, and I know what we pay for them, and I think it would be fucking cheaper. Because that is the thing. Like, we can say all this stuff about Pro Wrestling Tees, but those original shirts that were made, I believe, which were through 1 Hour Tees, they were screen printed, because a lot of the options were because it was a color logo. I had a white background like under the font and everything, and between the white and the actual, because the only other color was red, like it was a double, what's the exact word they use? I was in printing, but I was in more like actual like paper printing. Basically, they go over it twice. They give it like a second pass to make it thicker. So actually, I even think I heard that from, because this actually might be also back when before they were using a lot of direct to garment. I remember talking to Ethan Page about that.
Wow, we got so far off topic.
Well, in between, that's what we do. And then it's also just, I don't know, talking about Jocelyn and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe I'll get the Jocelyn 187 shirts made, because I think that would be a cool ass shirt. I don't know where Wrestling Cheers would be on it, but I think that'd be great. Anything else to add on Jocelyn's ass whooping of Riley Rose?
Yeah, after she won, she like kicked him to like kick him out of the ring, and then like left.
Love it.
Damn.
It was Jocelyn pinning Riley for the win. Let's move on to the next one. Derek Dillinger versus Pretty Boy Smooth versus Levi Everett versus Chase Oliver. This was, the typical 4-way. These matches are fun. There's a lot of shit going on.
Yeah.
Was Ziggy talking shit to fans? Because I feel like I didn't see as much this time.
No, she didn't talk really to any fans. She was kind of focused on the match. She did get her butter churned though.
She did, and it gave me a nice reaction picture.
So yeah, that happened. What else do we have? Levi went for his diving headbutt, shoulder tackle headbutt off the ropes, and got punched in the face by Derek. Chase Oliver took that sunset flip buckle bomb thing that Derek does. That was a really cool spot. Levi did his dive and then came over and shook our hands.
Yeah, that fucking caught me off guard.
Right.
Because he come over, reaching out. I'm like, what the fuck does he want? I was like, oh, thinking that he grabbed my hand to shake it. I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, what the fuck?
And that was caught pretty well on the IWTV stream. So shame on you, Jay Gold, for missing it somehow.
We'll talk about catching in IWTV later. But
Oh yeah.
we'll get there. Yeah, this was a fun one. I got nothing else to add. I think too. Well, before I get into that, we'll say the finish. Fonzie comes out with his whistle, blowing the fuck out of it, and kind of distracts Derek. And Chase Oliver takes advantage and gets the pin. The thing that I was going to say was none of us picked Chase.
I don't know. I think what did two of us? Did we all not pick Derek for this?
You mean we all didn't pick Chase? What are you saying? Because
who did you pick?
Smooth.
Okay, so then Ed and I picked Derek Dillinger then. So
that's right. For some reason, I thought we all picked separately, and the only one left was Chase. But I forgot Ed doesn't like Levi.
No, I could. I mean, again, like I wanted Derek to win, but like I had a feeling like Chase has been on this rise since he came back, so it made sense that he was gonna find a way to pick up the win. So
some might
tell you how I pick my people that I want to win, not the people I think are gonna win. So
see, I do who I think's gonna win.
My only problem with that is I feel like. I don't know. I'd rather just do who I want to win. I think it's more fun that way. I don't know. I honestly couldn't tell you how I pick people. I'm weird. Like sometimes I'll just pick one way or sometimes I'll pick another. I don't know.
I think for me, it comes down to how when I used to do NFL picks, like literally it was my first podcast. And even outside of that, like we were in a official pick'ems league. So I couldn't go with, well, this is who I want to win. This is who I think's going to win. And even when I first started doing that show, I had a rule that I ended up changing was I always have to pick my home team. So I got to pick the Browns and then I got to pick the Bears, like no matter what. Like the Browns could have been playing the New England Patriots and the New England Patriots were, back when with Tom Brady, I'd be, nope, I have to pick the Browns. Once we started doing like a league and like that shit was like counting against me, I'm like, yeah, I can't do that. It's not smart. And I'll be truthful whether I think my team's going to win or not. And it's the same thing with AIW, whether I think the person's going to win. I've said before, there's nobody on this roster that I don't like. So I'm definitely not being like, well, I hate this person, so I'm not picking them. So when we get a match like this, I like everybody in the match and it could definitely go whatever way. So for this one, it comes down to, well, I'm going to go with Smooth. But when other matches like have other things involved, I'll put down of who I think is actually going to win. But that's just me. Let's move on to the next match. We had the match of the preview. Members only versus Bitcoin Boys. How'd you feel about this match?
There was a couple awkward spots in it, but other than that, I thought it was really good. Both teams came out looking to prove a point, and it was good. It's exactly what I was expecting. Power Rangers are still mid.
I love it because I don't really have a side in the fight. I'll say Power Rangers are mid. Technically, I do like Power Rangers more than X-Men, but I'm not like hardcore Power Rangers. The only thing Power Rangers I have in my room right now that I know of, I have a Dragon Dagger. That's it. Now, if you add the Ninja Turtles or Ghostbusters in the equation, not necessarily who's better, but like fighting wise or who would win, but like actually what I like more, I would obviously pick those two.
The Ninja Turtles were on Power Rangers one time.
Yeah, but that was the live action Turtles. The second live action Turtles at that with Venus. So I'm not really counting. And then that was also part of the Power Rangers that I don't like because I think I said it on the preview that everything after the first movie, I don't really care for. And even like the way that they did the first movie, it doesn't make sense. I like it I'll admit I like it from a nostalgia point of view, but it's weirdly canon, but not, because they did end up going into like those Zords and everything with the next season, but they end up like having to make an episode that told a little bit, I think a little bit different backstory. So like for me, like yeah, it's weird, but I'm definitely not going to count that version of the Turtles and that version of the Power Rangers to be like, well, you like the Turtles, you got to like the Power Rangers. Nope. Not the same Power Rangers, not the same Turtles.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
No, I mean, I do have the same last name as an X-Men.
Yeah, but that X-Men's an asshole.
But I always liked him. But I didn't like him because he was an asshole, because I thought he was cooler than Wolverine because he shot lasers out of his eyes. I'm like, that's fucking awesome. Oh, you got claws? I don't care. Lasers out of your eyes.
I hate to tell you this, but the claws wasn't the mutant ability. The mutant ability was being able to like regenerate himself. So like Cyclops could get his arm cut off. And that shit ain't growing back. Wolverine could grow his own arm back.
Well, I didn't give a fuck about the actual mutant ability. I was caring more about their weapons. I'm like, yeah, I don't care about this dude who has claws. Give me fucking Cyclops. And then I found out years later his last name was Summers, because actually I would say one of my friends, he was a huge X-Men fan. And I mentioned like, yeah, I like Cyclops. He's like, you only like him because of his last name. And I'm like, what are you talking about? As a kid, you know how much I wanted the Cyclops helmet that you could buy at a toy store, even though I never watched X-Men, but I thought that was cool as shit. I literally remember being in KB's toy store at Chapel Hill Mall, two things that don't exist anymore, and seeing it. And I don't remember if I bought something that day or not, but I remember like wanting one. I looked them up on eBay not too long ago. I wasn't going to buy it. I just want to know what the price was. I don't remember, but yeah. But when it comes to this match, I'll pick X-Men, especially to fuck with Bitcoin Boys and Ed.
Yeah, I can't support the Duke. So Duke and his mom jeans. At least he didn't pick on me this time in the crowd. There was other people that were more noticeable.
Oh my, that was post match too. Yeah, this was one of those matches that when it came to after the members only debuted, and like all of us like trying to think of like matches I wanted, like this was up there. And I think it's going to be kind of a rivalry. I think this will be second to, or even potentially it could surpass it, but it'll at least right now be second to Bitcoin Boys versus Bulking Season. Because with those four, you got more of like they debuted together. All four of them, same match. And they ended up pairing off into different tag teams, and I love what they're both doing. But members only, I think, size-wise, is more comparable to Bitcoin Boys than Bulking Season is, for obvious reasons. So I wanted to see it, and I got it. And like I said, I think we'll definitely see it more. It's gonna be awesome. Any other thoughts on the match?
The Jeff Jarrett guitar shot was funny.
We haven't got there yet.
Oh, yeah, we're on the match part. My bad.
Well, the Duke pulled the ref out, and both Mikey and Eric took advantage of it. Can't remember. This time was the boot you? Oh, no, it was a double team. Because I actually took a great picture of the Duke, and then you see the double team happening. Yeah,
there was a low blow when they were fighting over the boot, and then the double team.
Yeah.
Shit.
And so Bitcoin Boys picked up the win. They both pinned Calvin G. Lewis. And then after the match, which I didn't necessarily tweet about this, but so I don't have those notes to go off of, basically had what was it? It was a beatdown of members only.
Mm-hmm.
Duke talking shit, might have slipped up and said something he shouldn't have. You know, maybe he said something.
I didn't hear anything. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, maybe he gave out important information. Maybe he told us something that's going to happen in the future. Could be the former or the latter, one of the two. But then TNA Jeff Jarrett music hit, and Jeff Jarrett comes out, and I mean, we're getting that typical the Duke versus the Legend moment, which is still great. No one's complaining. Then it looks like we're going to see Jeff Jarrett versus the Duke. Bitcoin Boys then attack Jeff Jarrett. Then you get members only coming in for the save. And then the Duke gets hit with a guitar. I think I got that right. You rewatched it, that right?
Yeah.
And then members only gave Jeff Jarrett a members only card. And then they did the strut. And after that, we went to intermission. When we came back from intermission, we had Filthy Tom Lawler versus Tommy Kyle Dean. What were your thoughts on this match?
These were two karate boys, and TKD was not ready for Filthy Tom.
TKD also what was that?
There was some kissing in this match too.
I was going to say that we also seen TKD debut a new shirt.
Oh yeah, he did have a new shirt on, didn't he?
Yep. I don't know if he was selling it or not, but it says GayCon.
Yeah, I don't think I saw him out at the tables.
Yeah, I think this match was like, one of those, it's definitely more technical to go with their skill sets. There was a kissing moment. Was there a kissing moment? Yeah, with TKD and Effie.
I know they teased some other stuff. I don't know if there was a kiss or not. I can't remember, but I know they teased like the Effie being down on his knees spot.
Yeah.
But I mean, the kiss was initiated by Filthy Tom, not even TKD. So, well, wait. No, TKD kissed him first, and then Tom kissed him back. Yeah, there was like 2 kissing spots.
I don't really have much to add to this match. I think maybe a little bit different to come back from intermission with, but still fun.
Yeah, I always have my weird preferences for how these cards are laid out, and I thought this was done kind of interesting considering what was like left and like how the final 4 matches played out after. So it was,
I'll say maybe the weakest match on the card, and I don't think that's an insult to it. And I'm not counting the pre-show because obviously with fucking Isaiah coming in and just beating the shit out of the Weirdster, like it's a different dynamic. But
yeah, I'd probably agree with that. Honestly, there wasn't really any super build for it. They didn't do anything special to build it. It's kind of was what it was. It wasn't anything. Like it felt like it was just whatever on a card full of like stock, like stacked stuff that was just like, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, that's basically one way to put it. And I don't think it's an insult to this match. I think like if we gave a lot of these match ratings, this would just be how it would rank as like the weakest. But like as a whole, like the card's very strong, top to bottom. So it's not a knock on this match. All right, let's get into the next one. I don't think we talked about this aspect of it in the preview, mainly because we didn't focus on the match, but technically a rematch from A Touch of Evil, if I'm correct. We had 2 Infinity and Beyond versus Bulking Season. I'm upset we didn't get Joker Arthur here, but that's neither here nor there.
No, this was your standard tag. They had some stuff going into it, but again, like it was 2 Infinity and Beyond being that top level tag team in AIW, and Bulking Season trying to prove themselves worthy, and I thought they did a good job. Like there's some really cool stuff. Arthur hit that double belly to belly suplex, overhead suplex thing, and then some decent stuff in it.
I got nothing much else for this one. I love kind of the story going in, like I said, that we didn't necessarily touch on in the preview, and with Bulking Season or Arthur being back fairly recently, I like this idea that Bulking Season's on the upswing. And
they're working on their way towards a title shot. I mean, there's lots of teams that are just itching to get a shot now. So
I mean, the AIW tag team division is packed. We have tag teams that weren't even on this show that are in the division. I think we still have some other tag teams still out there. I just don't know because we didn't necessarily see them pair up on this show or come out together. So that we'll find out later on, but still just so many fucking options. It was Arthur MacArthur pinning Cheech to get the win for Bulking Season.
And it was not a fast count.
It was not. Let's move on to the next match. Next up, we have Psycho Clown versus Matt Justice. 2 things about the entrance for this. Number 1, Psycho Clown smells very nice. And I only mention that because when wrestlers come out, you normally don't smell anything. If you do, it's something like just really bad. But that's kind of rare. But whether it be like some sort of cologne he had on or whatever it was, like when he walked by, there was just like this strong cologne smell, and it was a good smell. Not like it was too much. It was like, ooh, that's cool. And later on, like in the match when he was by our corner, I'm like, hey, you smell nice. I just wanted to compliment him and let him know that it was very much appreciated.
Oh.
Then there's the other part where unfortunately Stacy wasn't ringside, and if he was, he wouldn't have he didn't have a corner seat. So we bit the bullet. We're the ones that said we'll do it. I figured looking around at every other corner, 2 big guys, it's like, you know what? I think we can do this. So he went and did it, and yeah, we were successful. Then the people on the other side wanted to try it too. And they caught him, but I felt like they almost fell down too. So we were definitely better. I don't say that like it needs to be a competitive thing, but I feared, because I've always heard like Stacey talk about, when Matt comes, like, like how you got to brace yourself and everything. And
right.
I was too afraid like we would be the ones to fuck up.
We're good.
So yeah, that was a fun way to start off this match. But this is where maybe not necessarily, but like this is definitely like the more hardcore part of the show.
Yeah. This match was super stiff. I feel like Justice is slowly turning heel, and this kind of showed that off because Psycho Clown was very clearly the face here. There was lots and lots of crazy stuff with chairs and stiff punches and just gross chair shots. And yeah. I
don't know if there was a real healer face in this. The crowd was kind of divided. Something that was mentioned on the AIW podcast about, more, WWE Universe fans showing up. There was like a lot of younger voices, I felt like, cheering for Psycho Clown, especially the ones behind us, which I don't know who they definitely weren't someone who had been to AIW before, but I will say we did have a couple kids behind us, and it was always just interesting to hear who they were rooting for, because I felt like sometimes it had no rhyme or reason.
Yeah, it was just whoever they decided, and that was their person through the whole match. So it was good stuff. It's fun to listen to them. And
I did notice Psycho Clown was very much throughout the whole match starting chants for himself.
Yeah.
Matt Justice ended up getting the win, getting the pinfall over Psycho Clown, but he pulled off Psycho Clown's mask, which was teased earlier in the match. I didn't think it would actually happen, but pulls off the mask, and because how luchadors wrestle, pretty much you gotta take the fall or protect your face. That was
a very heel move.
Yeah, that was the one point of the match where I'm like, all right, heel. There was other things, but it was like, it kind of felt like, well, that's Matt Justice.
I mean, yeah, it was, but I feel like this is like him starting to turn now. Like we still have that, like there's still other things building. And I think that this turn it's going to be more apparent in the future. I feel like this was just the start of it. I mean, that was a very heel move to take the mask off and get the cheap roll up win. So I think we're building towards something. They always talk about making movies, so I think that's something to pay attention to. No matter how subtle it is, I think that's going to mean something for what we see next.
All right, let's move on to the next match.
Oh, you didn't want to talk about the aftermatch stuff?
Oh shit! Yeah, I forgot about that because
that's what I was kind of alluding to, because I didn't want to get into it until it was time, but.
That's right. I didn't tweet about it, but go ahead and say it.
So after the match, Ziggy came out blowing a whistle, and Derek came out and was holding her off. They kind of had a stare down. So obviously this feud's continuing. Yeah, I think, part 3 of Justice and Dillinger is going to be crazy. And I think we're going to, see Fonzie and Ziggy mix it up too. It's been talked about. And they both want it, and I'm excited to see if we're going to get it next month or when we're going to see it. I'm excited to see this continue.
I'm very happy that that's continuing. I kind of thought we were also going to get that during the match and not afterwards, but it was still fun. And then seeing Derek kind of like hold Ziggy back was great. When she says she's a chihuahua, she's a fucking chihuahua.
I don't know why he's holding her back. Just let her go. Let her do her thing. I think she's got a good shot of taking care of Bill. So, especially after he cost Derek his match. I mean, I personally would be trying to get some revenge there. So,
all right, now we can move on to the next match. Fucking Kaplan versus PCO, and I'm still kind of pissed that PCO did not have any meet and greet or nothing.
Yeah, no meet and greet or anything for PCO. Kaplan had a new shirt. This match was fucking wild, which I knew it was. This was the main event for me personally. I was most excited for this going into the show. Definitely lived up to the hype. There were some insane spots in this. Go out of your way to check this out if you haven't seen it already. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, this was a typical Kaplan match, and I say that as a compliment because Kaplan's just fucking insane. It was Kaplan getting the, I like it because I got nothing else to say, but Kaplan pinning PCO for the win.
Yeah, words can't do it justice. You just got to watch it.
All right, let's get into the main event. Our absolute and intense champion, Matthew Cardona, with Philly Collins and Marino Tenaglia, our AIW Tag Team Champions.
Thing 1 and Thing 2.
Our AIW Tag Team Champions.
Thing 1 and Thing 2 with their little Thing 1 and Thing 2 shirts.
Broski 1 and Broski 2.
It's a fucking Cat in the Hat book out there.
Versus Wes Barkley, Joshua Bishop, and the mystery partner that we've talked about for a couple weeks. At least like online, but last week on the show.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of names like between me and you were thrown. One name that I had early on is who it ended up being. Josh Prohibition.
Yep.
Cleveland legend. I don't know if anybody else could fill in that spot that didn't already have a match, because there were two in my book that could have filled that spot, but they had matches.
That made the most sense for what they were doing. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, you weren't too happy with it, were you?
It was fine. I mean, like, it made sense for the story they were telling. I mean, I wouldn't have done it that way, but I'm not the booker, so it is what it is. It made sense for the hardcore fans. I noticed when he came out that a lot of the crowd that was, WWE Universe, as mentioned, had no fucking idea. But then it was brought to my attention that, okay, if they have no idea, but they're new fans to AIW, maybe they'll go back and check out some other stuff to see who he was. And they'll learn about Josh Prohibition, which, that's a good thing, because he is a Cleveland legend. He's been wrestling forever, like since I got into indie wrestling, like first heard about it and saw stuff was him and M-Dog were like the two guys, and they're from Cleveland. So it was like, oh, cool. Those are the guys then, because they're the closest ones. So yeah, I mean, not so much that I wasn't happy, like it was fine. I thought it was super built up for it to be as obvious as it was. I don't know. I didn't understand why hype it so much when it didn't need to be hyped as much. I don't know I don't think that even makes sense, but I don't know. It was whatever. I went and stood with, I left ringside and went and stood with the other group of friends to kind of hang out and chat with the show and watch the show with them. So, I mean, it wasn't a bad seat in that house. So it was nice to be able to like get up and go stand for a little bit somewhere instead of, sitting there in the corner.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think J-Pros was the best fit.
Mm-hmm.
Other than the two that were already on the card. Because I like the dynamic of it being Justice or Filthy.
I like the fact that, I mean, you could have thrown out any reasonable big name and it made sense. But when you really sit and think about it, J-Pro does make sense, because like the hints were all there throughout a lot of stuff, like him being back at the school, training, Josh, like it was made mention to me like early on, Prohibition had a feud with Bishop over Bishop being lazy. So like that kind of made sense for, him to come back and help them out now that he's at the top of his game. There was a lot of layers to things. Like once it was explained to me, like all of that, it made a lot more sense. But like going in, it didn't make as much sense to me. Like, why would you hype it so much? But then like after it was explained to me, like, well, look, this is this and this. I was like, okay, I guess, yeah, that makes sense. So thanks to Stacy for that. Cause like I was pretty sour on it to start off with, like, not that I don't like Josh, but I don't know. I maybe had it built up too much in my mind that it was going to be like a bigger name, not just from Cleveland, but like, in wrestling in general. But then like, once you sit and you understand the story behind it, everything, and like they're doing stuff for the hardcore fans still, which I don't know. It's weird how they kind of flip flop back and forth on like doing stuff to get name recognition, but then also trying to do stuff for the hardcore fan. I don't know. I don't see the correlation there, how to keep that going. But booking one way or another. That's just something I just haven't understood yet, but I'm sure like in time I will. But like, yeah, I thought that it made sense after the fact. And the match was pretty good. I mean, I enjoyed myself watching it.
What'd you think of Josh's promo?
It was very good. Specifically talking about trying to not roll around and puke in an IWA Mid-South ring. Definitely, that's definitely a thing. So
I understand that Cardona's not well liked, but there's some of that promo, which granted, we did find out like on the IW podcast that supposedly like, that was like more of a shoot than anything. And I even think Cardona knew it because I do believe he mentioned it on the podcast this week too.
Yeah.
I think he mentioned it on his MC podcast because I do believe he like flat out said like called it he thought it was a shoot. But a lot of the stuff that other people say about him and like what Josh was saying, I don't believe of like kind of like he in between of like not caring about fans and what was some of the other stuff, just basically saying like, oh, like if Vince were to call you today, you'd go back. I don't 100% think so. And like Cardona's my personal pick right now. If not number one, it's definitely up there like best 2021. Like when we do AIW stuff, I will refrain from picking him because like granted, I mean, yeah, he did come out of nowhere, win the titles and all that kind of stuff, but I'll look for different criteria. But I feel like the work he's put in independent wrestling this year has been above and beyond more than what a lot of people will give him credit for. Maybe I don't like how his GCW stuff was handled, but like the Nick Gage stuff was great. The build for it was amazing. And he puts a lot of effort into this kind of stuff. So I don't think he's just doing it to go back because there's other things like involved with him too. But like with, the podcast, I don't think he'll fucking give up the podcast money. No way in hell, because he has turned that into like an empire, meaning like they're doing a lot of different things. Like there's that podcast. There's the fact that they've created a network, definitely all the fucking merch, which the Pro Wrestling Tee store is huge. And then the stuff that they pump out on their own is crazy. They run now their own shows. Granted, they've only had 2 within this last year. The only way you can watch them is through Patreon, a separate Patreon. Just that there's so much stuff with him that shows like real hustle. I do not think he'd go back. Like he'll play it up like with that promo that, yeah, I'll go back. I don't fucking think so, because we've seen this year what he can do without his handcuffs. Granted, they're going to be the people that don't fucking like him. I get it. But the conversation that I had with somebody else about Cardona not too long ago is like, we all kind of like make jokes about him and everything, but we kind of believe his heart's on the right spot a lot of times. But that being said, I still think Josh Prohibition is great on the mic.
Yeah.
Like he is upper echelon on the mic. I think he's better than Punk. I think he's better than MJF. I would say he's on the same level, and I know people won't agree with me. I say he's on the same level as Kingston, but if you say Kingston isn't, I mean, Kingston's like on a higher level, I won't disagree with you. Any other thoughts on this match?
No.
Joshua Bishop pinned Philly Collins for the win, and then after the match, they low-blowed Cardona and put him through a door.
Yeah. Send the crowd home happy.
Oh, and in this match, I got a free set of dog tags from Matt Cardona. He threw them right to me.
Yeah, that's what, your third set?
Okay, I thought that it was my third set. In a way, it is, but the other 2 are a little different. Because like the way that I can actually explain it, because you would understand, when I went to like Toy Hio, I was wearing dog tags. On one side it says Major Wrestling Figure Podcast, and on the back it says Stomp in Paradise. And I have 2 sets of those. This set doesn't have Stomp in Paradise. It just has Major Wrestling Figure Podcast on both sides. So kind of third set, but kind of not. But that is the show. Any final thoughts on this show as a whole? I think it lived up to being Hell on Earth. Hell on Earth is one of my favorite shows of the year. It was my first show 10 years ago on Thanksgiving, the day before this show. And to me, this was like a nice little party celebration of that 10 years, and the entire card delivered. It was fun pre-show. And I got no complaints, and AIW is back with full calendar stuff, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's next.
Yeah, I mean, I like the venue, other than only having the one set of steps to go up and down to get to things. That was kind of a pain in the ass. Other than that, venue was nice. Probably be really hot in the summer, considering that it was cold, and it was cold outside, so probably no heating or AC. But overall, I like the new venue. Definitely wouldn't mind going back for bigger shows. So,
any final thoughts or last minute plugs before we go?
So I do a podcast, IWTV Guide. We're kind of like on not so much a hiatus, but we're taking, our time through the holidays. We're not pumping out a weekly episode currently. Got some stuff planned in the future. Don't know when it'll come out, but it usually drops on Mondays or Tuesdays. Also, I am on If You Catch My Grift, talks about con men, grifters, and charlatans, and all that stuff. So if you like true crime podcasts, check that out. That drops usually on Sundays every other week. When this comes out, this Sunday should be on a gentleman who has ties to the Clinton family. And let me tell you how much of a loser this guy is. He is a giant fucking loser, and is very interesting. Yeah. And you can follow me on Twitter at Charly_Butters. And that's all I got.
And of course, you can find myself at jsummers330 on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, much like you can find the show on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Facebook.com/WrestlingCheers, Twitter.com/WrestlingCheers, and Instagram.com/WrestlingCheers. Email, if you so choose to desire, WrestlingCheers@gmail.com. And we have the merch store over at whatamaneuver.net. Like I said earlier in this episode, please rate, review, and subscribe your ever listen to this fine podcast, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon Music, or Podbean, WrestlingCheers.podbean.com. Check out our friends on the Trending Topics Network, such as All Beer Inside, Eurovision Showcase, Spanish Announce Table, and Wrestling with Altitude. Check out our other podcast friends, such as Pod Van Dam, Super Fantastic Podcast, It's Evolution, Baby, The IndieCast, Sobros Network, Biff Radio, Game Marks Podcast, Powerbomb Jitsu, Spotlight Series, Fully Posable, Doing the Favor, Positively Pro Wrestling, IWTV Guide, If You Catch My Grift, At Odds with Wrestling, Best in the World Podcast, Marks with Mikes, This Ends at Prom, and Porch Talk. Check out our other non-podcasting friends, such as Thrift Store Jobber, The Savage Stash, The Mystery Men, Redline Radio, Mouse's Wrestling Adventure, VHS Party Tonight on Instagram, Good Company, Heart of Gold, Toy Hio Toy Show, Time Capsule Toys, Stay Tough, Smokin' Jay's Barbecue, and be sure to use the 10% off code when you order of Cheers, so you can save yourself a little money. Wrestle Void, Midwest Territory, Southern Underground Pro, and the official graphic designer of Wrestling Cheers, Moy Boy Designs. That will do it for us here on Wrestling Cheers, where everybody knows your name, especially when you're a thrift store jobber in a Psycho Clown mask. Later.
It's the Wrestling Cheers. Get up on your feet, brightening your day in the middle of the week. And you gotta love the show. Yeah, you know it holds a title for the best podcast. Talking wrestling in Ohio. Finishing a cold one, take a load off. We ain't all about the prohibition like Josh, so we cheers. And then we sit back. Other shows are in the trash, kinda like they Nick Stapp. Like the name is Matt Justice, wearing all the gold. Wrestling Cheers is coming to a close. The #1 podcast going in the game. And one day everybody's gonna know the name. It's the Wrestling Cheers. This is Platinum Max, signing off. Ohio, good night. The world, good night. We love you. We'll see you next week.